Hey everyone, the following article includes mentions of child abuse, addiction, and mental health issues. Queen Latifah is a triple threat. A rapper, actor, and television host, she is a multi-talented performer who never shies away from speaking her truth. Breaking through hip-hop's glass ceiling to become a revered rapper with lyrics centered around gender inequality and racial injustice, Latifah garnered support from the iconic likes of De La Soul, with whom she collabed on her debut album. Queen Latifah is a triple threat. A rapper, actor, and television host, she is a multi-talented performer who never shies away from speaking her truth. Breaking through hip-hop's glass ceiling to become a revered rapper with lyrics centered around gender inequality and racial injustice, Latifah garnered support from the iconic likes of De La Soul, with whom she collabed on her debut album. Subsequently, she has earned a hefty net worth from her many pursuits, an estimated $70 million. Throughout it all, though, the rap pioneer has remained humble. Famed for her affable and jovial personality, Latifah always appears to greet others with a smile and her ever-present wit, seemingly unaffected by the trappings of an A-list lifestyle. But beneath that seemingly indefatigable veneer, Latifah has faced horrendous hardships. Throughout the years, the rapper-turned-actor has endured numerous tragic events. From deeply upsetting bereavements to personal struggles, Latifah has, unfortunately, been through it all. Additionally, as a black woman, she has faced immense prejudice, but uses her platform as a means to educate and uplift others. Latifah is strong-willed to say the least. Despite her tragedies, she has always been able to come out through the darkness and live to tell the tale, inspiring others with stories of resistance and resilience. Get the Kleenex ready, because the Queen of Rap has had anything but a royal road to success. These are the tragic details about Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah, born Dana Owens, was raised in the projects of New Jersey, and her family struggled to make ends meet. In her book, Put on Your Crown, she described the difficulties she faced as a result of being raised in poverty. As a teenager growing up in a working-class neighborhood in Newark, I also made some moves I'm not proud of, she revealed. Money was tight, and I experimented with stuff that could have taken me right down into the gutter if I'd continued with it. She added that having a strong support network from her family sustained me through the worst periods of my life. As she explained to the New York Times, being raised in the projects wasn't all bad, but growing up in such an environment could potentially have drawn her down the wrong path. Subsequently, witnessing the pitfalls of poverty firsthand instilled Latifah with a strong sense of justice for the poor. It became my goal to buy my parents' houses, Latifah told Good Housekeeping, and I did. But it wasn't solely her family she wanted to help once she made it big. Her environment propelled her toward a desire to do good and help those in need. I want to build a housing development, a big one, a real deaf one, and pay for people myself. Not for my friends, they can do it on their own. I'm talking about lower-income families, she told Interview magazine. As with many African Americans, Queen Latifah's father, Lancelot Owens, was conscripted to the Vietnam War. According to NPR, 40% of those sent to fight in Vietnam were African American, and racial discrimination was rife. As was sadly common for Vietnam veterans, Lancelot Owens struggled with mental health issues and substance misuse following his experiences in the war. He wasn't there at some points, financially, when we could have used his help, she told the New York Times. Vietnam had a lot to do with that, and he was dealing with a drug problem at that time. He was able to work through that stuff. Latifah's father and her mum Rita divorced when she was 8. In an interview with the Virginian Pilot, Latifah largely blamed the dissolution of her parents' marriage on Vietnam. He was a big, hard-nosed cop. Vietnam did a few things to his life. Eventually he left the family, she reflected. Thereafter, Latifah and her brother were raised by their single mother. Initially, Rita had to juggle domestic duties whilst working 2 jobs, but she eventually trained as a high school teacher. Latifah has credited her mum for ensuring her children thrived despite the grueling situation. As she told the New York Times in an earlier interview, any person who can take two kids basically without any support from their father and put them through Catholic school because she felt they deserved a better education. Initially, Rita had to juggle domestic duties whilst working two jobs, but she eventually trained as a high school teacher. Latifah has credited her mum for ensuring her children thrived despite the grueling situation. As she told the New York Times in an earlier interview, any person who can take two kids basically without any support from their father and put them through Catholic school because she felt they deserved a better education is doing all right. When Queen Latifah was a child, she was molested by a teenage babysitter. "He violated me," she told Essence. "I never told anybody. I just buried it as deeply as I could and kept people at an arm's distance. I never really let a person get too close to me. I could have been married years ago, but I had a commitment issue." In a Larry King Live interview on CNN, she revealed that she was just 5 years old when the abuse occurred. As is common with survivors of child sexual abuse, Latifah was scared to tell her parents about what happened and thus kept it a secret until adulthood. She explained that the abuser was known to the family. "And I was scared to tell my father because I'm like, my father's going to kill him, you know, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. But I had to," she revealed. "I had to, you know, let them know what I had gone through so that they could understand maybe more of my mindset and freed myself of that burden." At the age of 22, Latifah was able to tell her parents, "My mother felt terrible. When I told my dad, he said nothing," she revealed to Essence. On reflection, Latifah told the outlet that she now realised why her dad remained silent upon hearing the news. "He's a man of action," she said. As Queen Latifah recounted on the Ellen DeGeneres show, both she and her brother were bullied at school. When my brother was bullied as kids, we kind of kept it to ourselves," she told DeGeneres. "We tried to handle it on our own, and sometimes it got out of control. In particular, kids targeted Latifah's body shape. I mean, I was always the biggest girl in my class. One thing I was self-conscious about was my breasts. I thought they were so big," she told Us Weekly. "Then when I was 18 or 19, I dated somebody who just loved my body down, you know. Someone who just praised and adored my body constantly. That really turned me around." Body negativity unfortunately followed Latifah into adulthood. She told Entertainment tonight she had been judged for her body, causing her to frequently think about her weight. When Latifah embarked on an acting career, she was told to lose weight for roles due to Hollywood's arguably unrealistic body standards. "I can remember specifically doing Living Single and the word came down that we needed to lose weight. If anything, it angered me and disheartened me, but it really angered me," she revealed. "I said, we are what women look like. We're not going to lose weight for whoever's idea of what we're supposed to look like." Queen Latifah's darkest moment came when her beloved brother, police officer Lancelot Owens Jr., died in an off-duty motorcycle accident in 1992. He was just 23. "My life was rocked to the core. And I felt guilty because I was angry at God," she told Good Housekeeping of the devastating loss. To make a tragic experience even more painful, Latifah had bought the very bike on which her brother died. Opening up about the tragedy to the New York Times, Latifah acknowledged the lingering nature of grief. "I don't know if I ever recovered completely. You can't replace a person, especially someone with a big presence like my brother. We were best friends," she stated. Since her brother didn't live to see her success, Latifah revealed that the loss had left her with a sense of bitterness. "I felt like all these great things were happening, but I lost the most important thing to me," she said. "If that's the price I had to pay, I didn't want it." For the sake of her family and to honour her brother's legacy, she was able to slowly heal. Latifah came from a family of fighters, she noted to Larry King on CNN. The star felt how close she and Lancelot had been. She lost the strength in her hands while grieving her brother. Latifah called him an angel and shared that others' prayers had helped her through the loss. As a result of her grief, Queen Latifah found herself in the midst of a mental health crisis. "The last 4 or 5 years of my life have been the hardest after my brother died," she told Us Weekly in 1998. "That screwed me up for real. I thought I was crazy. I felt out of touch with other people on the planet." She turned to alcohol, though this outlet provided little relief. "Every day I would be faded, like a painting that's just not vibrant, whose edges are dull," she told Good Housekeeping. "I wasn't living my full life." Eventually, she sought help for her depression and alcohol use, finding comfort in faith. "God just pulled my skirt a little bit and said, 'Wake up, girl, get it together, you know,'" she told Larry King on CNN. Following her recovery, Latifah has raised awareness of mental illness and emphasized the importance of prioritizing mental well-being, particularly for Black women who have historically faced discrimination and ignorance with regard to mental health. "I think it's very important that we, especially as Black women, don't hold back about being honest about what we're feeling. Not just what we're feeling physically, but what we're feeling emotionally. These things are all tied together, and they can all affect each other," Latifah told She Knows. By the mid-90s, Queen Latifah was enjoying immense success due to her third album Black Rain and the sitcom Living Single. But in 1995, things took a devastating turn when Latifah and her friends were the victims of a traumatic carjacking. According to the New York Times, Latifah was in her BMW with her then-boyfriend and bodyguard, Sean, and her close friend, Lynn, when 2 armed men approached the vehicle and shot Sean in the stomach, critically wounding him. Good Housekeeping notes that Sean nearly died in her arms. The men stole Latifah's car. The Baltimore Sun highlighted Latifah's heroism, as she had hailed a cab and rushed Sean to the hospital, despite her trauma. "It was probably what saved his life," a detective told the outlet. Here she was, a victim of a crime in a stressful situation, and she was cool, calm, and collected. In 1996, a tearful Latifah recalled the horrific incident in court, identifying a main perpetrator, Ricardo Rodriguez. "As I was getting out of the car, I heard a gunshot, but I didn't panic because we weren't resisting or anything," Latifah recounted, per AP News. "He," pointing at Rodriguez, "was standing there waiting to get in. I had a good look at his face, at least 10 seconds. I heard Lynn saying, 'He's hit! He's hit! Sean's hit!' And blood was coming from his side." Rodriguez was found guilty and sentenced to 18 years for the violent crime he committed with Rashian Fortune, who shot Sean Moon. From a young age, Queen Latifah found herself faced with numerous legal troubles. As a teenager, she briefly dealt drugs. "I did it a couple times to see if I could," she admitted to the New York Times. Then she was paid $50 to have sex with a 40-year-old man when she was just 16. In 1996, she was arrested on weapon and drug charges, per the Los Angeles Times. As the Virginian Pilot notes, she was not prosecuted for possession of marijuana, though she was fined $810 for driving with no license and carrying a loaded weapon. Regarding the latter charge, she told Us Weekly, "Someone like me has got to have protection." It was also during this time that her friend and would-be collaborator Tupac Shakur was murdered. "This is a great American tragedy," she told the Spokesman Review. "Not just for the Black community, for everybody. Everyone was magnetized by him." In 2002, Latifah was arrested for misdemeanor reckless driving, to which she pleaded no contest and avoided a DUI charge, per MTV. Opening up about her troubled past to Larry King on CNN, she explained that her second arrest spurred her to reevaluate her life. "It was reckless driving," she stated. "I was not actually impaired, but I was over the legal limit, and it just made me think, that's not responsible. That's not the right thing to do. Wake up, get it together, you know. I'm fine with checking myself when I'm not doing the right thing. I learned early that I had to work harder than the white kids and harder than the boys," Queen Latifah told the New York Times. In particular, Latifah has opened up about sexism within the hip-hop industry, telling Us Weekly, Rappers thought they couldn't sell a record unless they cursed 2,000 times, shooting up this many people, beating my girl. During a talk at the Tribeca Film Festival, Latifah described the hip-hop industry as misogynistic. Despite this, she was able to make a name for herself in the biz and subsequently earned praise from male detractors. It's about women feeling good about themselves from the inside out. When these gangster rappers praised my work, it drove home the fact that you can make a difference, she reflected. As ABC News highlights, Latifah's music had always been pivotal in challenging misogyny and standing up for Black lives. Latifah has acknowledged that, despite her fame and fortune, she is subjected to prevalent racism. I experience racism every day, she told the New York Times. At VH1's Hip Hop Honors, she elaborated on this. I don't care how much or things I have, or Puff has, or Missy has. If I go outside and try to hail a cab and he passes me for the white woman standing right there, that racism is still alive and kicking. And we have to change that, she said. If you or a loved one has experienced a hate crime, contact the Victim Connect hotline by phone at 1-855-4-VICTIM or by chat for more information or assistance in locating services to help. If you or a loved one are in immediate danger, call 911. In 2021, Queen Latifah was faced with another horrific tragedy when her beloved dog was apparently found mauled to death. According to TMZ, Latifah sought the help of dog whisperer Cesar Millan, bringing her 2 pups to his psychology class. However, things allegedly took a tragic turn when one of her dogs was apparently attacked and killed by the canine expert's pit bull. Lydia Matisse, who claims she was violently attacked by Milan's pit bull, filed a lawsuit against the dog whisperer, detailing the alleged attack against Latifah's pup. According to Matisse, Millan attempted to cover up Latifah's dog's death by urging his staff to tell Queen Latifah the dog was hit and killed by a car. The lawsuit alleges a history of extreme violence from Milan's dog. Latifah and Millan previously appeared to share a close friendship. In 2014, he appeared on the Queen Latifah show to discuss doggy matters. In 2018, she expressed her joy at enrolling her new fur babies in training programs with Milan. Had my first training session for my new babies with at Cesar Millan, already learning so much. She wrote in a tweet that seems especially chilling in light of the accusations. Subsequently, her dog's death, allegedly at the hands of the very person whose expertise she sought, is particularly tragic. Per People, Milan denies that his dog killed Latifah's pet, branding the accusation a blatant lie. Thanks for watching.